The 9th year of Pokemon Go was big. You might even say it was gigantic to the maximum. Maybe it wasn't so big in terms of volume, but in terms of mass, it certainly was. The 9th year of Pokemon Go was when Dynamax and Gigantamax Pokemon were introduced into the game, along with the Max Battle game mechanic. This is also the year when Scopely took control of the game and weekly events such as Raid Days and Max Battle weekends became more commonplace. Before I continue, I must address some things I said in the Year 8 video that were just plain inaccurate. First off, I said that Enamorus was in EX raids, but actually, it was in Elite raids. Also, I forgot to mention that there was a new second Detective Pikachu costume, and it had an animation with a magnifying glass, but otherwise it looked the exact same as the old one. Issuing corrections seems to be a yearly tradition for me. So, what do you think I'll get wrong this year? My friend Maya wrote that, but I left it in because she's really smart and probably didn't make any mistakes writing the script for me this year. Thank you, Maya. Eevee in Sun and Moon Crowns did not, in fact, make an appearance at Global Pokemon Go Fest 2024, but regional Pokemon Maractus and Corsola were in attendance alongside Durant and Heatmore. On the subject of regional Pokemon, one added this year was Stonjourner. I'm not sure if I said it right because I haven't watched that far into the anime. This Pokemon is exclusive to the United Kingdom. I'm sure it will show up in some event later. Paldean Tauros was added to the game, and all of its forms were dispersed into different parts of the world. Its combat breed form is exclusive to the Iberian Peninsula. Blaze breed is east of the Prime Meridian, and Aqua breed is west of the Prime Meridian. Luckily, they were all in raids, so I remote raided the ones outside of my region and caught them all. Maractus became globally available for free during Go Tour Unova in early 2025, as well as Bouffalant and Sigilith becoming obtainable worldwide during that time as well. All of those are in 10-kilometer eggs. Sigilith was also available in something referred to as Enigma Pokestop field research tasks, and those appeared and disappeared mysteriously throughout the event. All of the Pokemon obtainable from these mercurial research tasks supposedly belonged to N himself. They also had interesting backgrounds and could be shiny, even the evolved ones. During Pokemon Go Fest 2025, many rare and regional Pokemon became available to a global audience for the very first time. Skiddo and its evolution Go-Goat, which were previously exclusive to paid city safari events in participating cities, were available from Incense with a paid ticket alongside the French regional Klefki. Additionally, Torkoal and Pachirisu made return appearances, but I already had both of them. During the different hourly habitats of the event, Flabebe in its red, blue, and yellow flower forms were available globally, which are normally split between different parts of the world. I was able to get every form of Flabebe, Florges, and Floette. Well, at least all the forms of Floette that can be obtained at this time. The new legendary Pokemon added to the game this year were Kubfu, Urshifu, and that's it. But don't fret, there were a lot of legendary Pokemon alternative forms added this year. This included the crowned forms of Zacian and Zamazenta, but also many of the Pokemon we consider fusions. When Zacian and Zamazenta made their return to raids for this occasion, they gained the ability to be shiny. The encounters with these two Pokemon were both shiny locked in Sword and Shield, and their shinies were only available from certain distributions back in 2021. So this is the first time they can be shiny and have the player's OT. In a way, Pokemon Go broke a shiny lock. The same thing happened with the Galarian bird Pokemon, only they're not limited to an event. They're always potentially available by using the daily adventure incense. And when they're shiny, they don't flee, which makes them more feasible to actually catch. I personally don't use the daily incense much, but when I ran into a Galarian Moltres, I ended up using one of my Master Balls. It felt worth it. When a later special research rewarded me with one of the birds of my choice, I chose Zapdos. It would be nice to catch Articuno and finish the trio, but I'm in no rush. Gimmighoul in its roaming form was made available shiny for a limited time during an event, and that was the first time it could be legitimately obtained in any Pokemon game. This event finally made it possible to have shiny roaming Gimmighoul in the main series. Although it was technically added in the 8th year of Pokemon Go for those attending physical Go Fest events, Necrozma could be fused into its Dusk Mane and Dawn Wings forms by using something called Fusion Energy. Fusion Energy is obtained from raiding these forms. When you have enough energy, you can fuse Necrozma by sacrificing a Solgaleo or Lunala, which becomes grayed out and untouchable in the Pokemon storage until it is unfused. By the way, all the Pokemon consumed by fusing in this way still take up storage space. When in these forms, Necrozma gains a unique adventure effect, either Sunsteel Strike or Moongeist Beam, and they act as special incense that draw certain day or night themed Pokemon to you. It also allows Pokemon to evolve during the day when they normally would evolve at night, or vice versa. It's just like entering the reverse world in Pokemon Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, or Ultra Moon. By activating Moongeist Beam, it also can emulate the full moon in order to allow Ursaring to evolve into Ursaluna, which normally is only possible about every 28 days on Earth, when the moon becomes fully waxed from our perspective. The only other place you can evolve the Pokemon Ursaring is on the fictitious planet upon which the land of Hisui resides, in the world of Pokemon Legends Arceus, on a night when that planet's moon is full. And I know this world is fictional because I explained that the astronomy of Pokemon Legends Arceus is simply impossible. But you can watch that in a previous video. I'll put a link to that in the description. Kyurem's fusions were released during Go Tour Unova. They required fusion energy in either Reshiram or Zekrom in order to make white or black Kyurem. They both have adventure effects, Ice Burn and Freeze Shock. Both of those abilities make Pokemon easier to catch in different ways. There was a promotion when Kyurem raids were at gyms sponsored by McDonald's. As everyone knows, they sell Coca-Cola there and not Pepsi products. So I guess that means that we're living in the timeline where I caught White Kyurem in Pokemon Gray the movie, White. So now we know which one of those videos is canon to this universe. Now let's talk about Mythicals. I got Marshadow at the beginning of Year 9 at the Global Go Fest 2024. Volcanion made its Pokemon Go debut via the research given with a ticket to Pokemon Go Fest 2025. So the only Pokemon missing from the Kalos Pokedex as of the end of Year 9 are now the Honedge family. But keep in mind, I took a long time to record this video because I've been sick. Meloetta was released in its shiny form as part of the Masterwork research, a dazzling aria, alongside Pokemon Go Tour Unova. Meloetta also has an in-battle form, its pirouette form, but we have yet to see that in Pokemon Go. When Shiny Shaman was released in Go, Skyform Shaman became available by form change, so this omission is quite strange. Meloetta was released as shiny in the main series as a permanent gift from Pokemon Home. Starting in November of 2024, it is given to the player as a reward for completing all 3 Pokedexes of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in Home by depositing Pokemon entirely caught from those games. I got my shiny Meloetta But I put off getting Shiny Meltan for completing the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Kanto Pokedex in home, as well as completing the 3 Sword and Shield Pokedexes in home to get Shiny Keldeo, and the Hisui Dex in home to get Shiny Enamorus, and the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Pokedex in home to get Shiny Manaphy. I want to do all of that soon, but now doesn't seem to be the time. Apparently, because the shiny lock for Meloetta was broken in the main series, it made Meloetta fair game to be added as a shiny in Go. Victini, however, is still shiny locked in the main series, and Keldeo has been missing in action from Pokemon Go ever since that one time it was available from a ticket. The only shiny mythical from Generation 6 that is currently unlocked in the main series is Diancie. Therefore, I guess shiny Diancie will probably be available in Pokemon Go in 2026 as part of Pokemon Go Tour Kalos. But who knows? Legends ZA could change everything. I'm technically in the middle of the special research to get Shiny Meloetta in Go. I totally lost steam though, so I'll get to it eventually. I did get my Shiny Shaman and changed it to Sky form. Some new Pokemon forms were added this year. It's honestly pretty hard to keep track of Rotom's forms. I'm under the impression that they have all been made available at various events, but I only have its regular form and the washing machine. Surely, at some point, those other forms will retire from being exclusive to in-person events. Tandemaus debuted in Pokemon Go alongside both of Mousehold's forms, but I didn't get the Family of 3 yet. Honestly, it was painful enough getting one of the Family of 3 in the main series. I'll talk about that in my upcoming video, The Spain Quest. Both forms of Toxtricity were added at the same time. Galarian Corsola was added this year too. Both forms of Galarian Sinistea and Poltegeist were added at the same time. Of course, with the authentic form being rare at approximately 1%, appraising them will reveal which form they are if you don't want to get on your hands and knees to check for the stamp. More regional forms appear to be coming in Year 10. Pokemon with in-battle form changes finally became a thing with Morpeko and its move Aura Wheel. Whenever it uses this charge move, it will switch between its full belly mode and its hangry mode, changing the type of the move accordingly. Just like in the main series games. I wonder what other battle form changes we will see. As you may know, I am a pretty big fan of the Pokemon Unown. I'm trying to get all of the letters of the alphabet. I'm technically getting close, but it's all at the whim of what unknowns they make available in the events that I have access to. Unova Go Tour had Unown that spelled out Unova, but I already had all of those forms. But I still want to mention that because those are the unknowns that appear on a very special Pikachu plush that I discovered at the Nintendo store in New York City. This is Pikachu as the Statue of Liberty, and I got it the second time I went to New York City. The first time I went to New York City, I went to the real Statue of Liberty and basically invented Pokemon Go. That's right. This is all my fault. I'm sorry about that. Unown was available in forms that spelled out Shield for ticket holders on Saturday of GoFest 2025, and in forms that spelled out Sword on Sunday. Unown W has apparently not been released in its shiny form yet, but it was a new form for me. That still leaves 5 forms of Unown missing from my collection in Pokemon Go. If you sound it out, it says Unown in their exclamation and question mark forms seem, at least so far, to be exclusive to certain in-person ticketed events, such as GoFests that take place in actual cities. So I have yet to catch them, but I declare that one day I will. As for costume Pokemon, the new additions this year were several Pikachu in headwear reminiscent of the protagonists of Pokemon Black, White, Black 2, and White 2. A Pikachu wearing a sari during India's Festival of Lights, and a Pikachu wearing a kurta during India's Festival of Colors. Pikachu wearing scuba gear for Pokemon World Championships 2024 in Hawaii. Froakie, Frogadier, Greninja, Rowlet, Dartrix, and Decidueye in Halloween costumes. Dedenne, Wooloo, and Dubwool in outfits for the holidays. Snorlax in a biker jacket. Minccino and Chinchino wearing glasses during Fashion Week. Floragato wearing Lico's hat from Pokemon Horizons. Nidoking and Nidoqueen wearing actual crowns as they should. Phalanx in a locomotive outfit, which was awesome. And many Pikachu wearing top hats with goggles or monocles in various colors. Bulbasaur wearing a party hat could, at long last, evolve into Ivysaur and Venusaur wearing party hats. Finally, some Gimmighoul were holding a 9th anniversary coin, which looks almost exactly the same as its regular coin, but if you look closely, you'll see that there's a 9 on it. It's a good occasion. There have been 9 years of Pokemon Go, and Gimmighoul is very associated with the number 9. I've chased my fair share of 9s, whether it's in-game currency or number of items in inventory. At some point, you gotta say though, that enough is enough. Just because you can get 999 of something, it doesn't mean that you should. Except in Pokemon, because you gotta catch them all. The community days in Year 9 featured Tynamo, Poplio, both forms of Ponyta, Sewaddle, Mankey, various Pokemon that were in 2023 and 2024 community days, Sprigatito, Shelmet, and Carablast together, Fuecoco, Vanillite, Palmy, and Jangmo-O. The classic community days featured Beldum, Ralts, Totodile, Machop, and Eevee. Team Go Rocket returned again with more legendary Shadow Pokemon. Giovanni had in his possession Shadow Cresselia, Heatran, Dialga, and Palkia. Naturally, we told him to hit the road, the Rainbow Road. But yeah, he's not going anywhere. We're going to have to keep fighting them for a long time. The Mega Pokemon introduced into Pokemon Go this year were Lucario, Mawile, Gallade, and Audino. So there's only 5 Mega Evolutions missing now, but that number could increase when Pokemon Legends ZA releases in the fall, during Year 10. Again, I will remind you that I have been sick. Max battles are quite a different format of raid battles that function inside a closed gameplay loop within the game. And they don't use raid passes to participate at all, but instead a new resource called MP. Not a Member of Parliament though, it stands for Max Particles. They come from Power Spots, which are new landmarks similar to Pokestops and gyms. Personally, it sounds to me like someone at Niantic is a big fan of May's brother from the anime. I wonder if they've ever attempted a Max run. Maybe so. Dynamax Max battles went okay, but when Gigantamax Max battles first appeared, they were too difficult. But they changed the difficulty and it became, well, not easy, but doable at least. It can definitely be a challenge if you don't have a lot of friends. The Gigantamax Pokemon that debuted in Year 9 were Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Gengar, Toxtricity, Lapras, Kingler, Snorlax, Machamp, Rillaboom, Cinderace, and Inteleon. I caught all of these except for Kingler, which I had to trade for, so I have to catch one myself someday. Max Mushrooms are a new type of item that boosts damage in max battles. Upon their discovery, it wasn't unrealistic to think that they might have been some method to change a Dynamax Pokemon into a Gigantamax Pokemon, or vice versa. But alas, it's just another monetization scheme to try to make money off of people who don't have enough friends in real life to complete the difficult max battles. Shadow raids and max battles were made possible to remotely raid, which made them much more convenient for me to participate in. As I alluded to earlier, Zacian and Zamazenta gained the ability to change into their crowned forms by using Crown Sword and Crown Shield energy respectively. Basically, this works almost the same way as fusions do in the game, but only require one Pokemon instead of two. And when they're in their crowned forms, they can battle in max battles, just like how they're allowed to participate in Sword and Shield's Dynamax raids. And similarly, they cannot Dynamax. When Kubfu and its evolutions, Urshifu, were introduced into the game through special research, it was the first time in Pokemon Go that a legendary Pokemon has only been available with the Dynamax factor. I'm sure that eventually they'll put Urshifu in Gigantamax battles, and that way I can have both Gigantamax forms of Urshifu. In the fall, they introduced a new type of event called a Go Wild Area. And in that event, they introduced a new type of Pokeball, a Go Safari Ball. It looks just like a Safari Ball, but it's different, because if you look closely, you'll see that they typed the word Go on it. It may not have been the most aesthetic choice of design, but it served a purpose. You see, if a Pokemon is caught in one of these Safari Balls, they can't be sent to Pokemon Home, because although Safari Balls exist in the main series, Go Safari Balls do not. It is my opinion that the distinction between Safari Balls and Go Safari Balls was established intentionally in order to keep these captures out of the main series. Because of things like how Pokeball type can be passed down via breeding, letting the Go Safari Ball Pokemon into Home would vastly increase the variety of Pokemon that could have technically been obtainable in Safari Balls, even if it's only in a legacy kind of way. Also, during this event, Mighty Pokemon made their first appearance. These Pokemon have very high levels in the wild, sometimes even surpassing level 40. And they also have really good stats. I've heard these were very appreciated by newer players. It seemed like this sort of event could become a yearly tradition, but it's hard to say just yet. The Galarian starter Pokemon were finally added to the game, which made it so that all of the starters are in the game now. What is interesting is that the Paldean starters were released prior to this, which means the sequence of starter Pokemon releases was not in numerical order. But I don't see how they could mix up the order for any future starter Pokemon. They're getting dangerously close to being caught up with the main series. Pokemon with special backgrounds continued to be a thing throughout various in-person and global events. Trading these Pokemon counts as a special trade, which are limited in how many you can perform per day. A Pokemon having a background or not is a purely aesthetic difference, and backgrounds aren't accounted for by the Pokédex. During specific events, the nearby Pokemon screen got a radar upgrade that let you know where certain Pokemon that you've caught already are on the map. This was pretty limited at first, but it seems that it was actually a precursor to the new Pokédex tracking feature. It lets you select one Pokemon from your Pokédex that you've seen before, and you get notifications when they show up near you. This was added in the same update when the Pokédex received a new design. I'm a little bit annoyed that the update to the Pokédex also dropped support for the costume decks, and now it will only show you costumed forms on the pages of each individual species. The unidentified regions section of the Pokédex, consisting of the Meltan family, was for some reason moved to the end after all the other regions, even though, according to the Pokédex number from Pokemon Home, they should actually go between Alola and Galar. Another new feature enhancement was that the friends list now displays active raid lobbies that your friends are in and allows you to remotely join them as well. An RSVP mechanic was incorporated into raiding locally, which helps people signal to each other what time they intend to raid at a specific gym. It seems like a really great way to coordinate with strangers, and I don't even understand French. Parlez-vous francais? City Safari events continued in 2024, and Skiddo was replaced by Mudbray as the exclusive for these events. Good thing I don't have to worry about Generation 7 yet. I'm still waiting for them to add Fion and then everything after that. Pokemon playgrounds are a new feature at some parks that trainers can leave their Pokemon at so that they can play with other Pokemon that have been left there. It's a lot like a real playground, except that in real life you probably shouldn't leave your children alone at a playground. Stamp rallies became a thing at local events in certain cities in Japan. Stamps are now a new type of collectible in the game that you can obtain from participating Pokestops by spinning them. They go onto the stamp card. Much like the postcard book, this is where your stamps are documented and even display the date and location they were obtained. You get the stamp by pressing down on where the stamp card is on your phone with your finger, as if you were using a real stamper. It's even pressure sensitive, and that affects the amount of ink used. On April 1st, 2025, they had an unusual event where Pokeballs appeared on the map. It was very different to how the game normally works, because each Pokeball had the potential to be an encounter with one of several Pokemon, such as Voltorb, Electrode, Fungus, Amoonguss, Hisuian Voltorb, or Hisuian Electrode. However, they also had the potential to instead reward the player with items such as a Pokeball, Great Ball, or Ultra Ball. Later we would find out that this seemed to be a preliminary run of a mechanic that we would continue to see in the game outside of April Fool's Day, by way of a new type of interactable item on the map. Apples. Apples can either appear randomly like any other Pokemon on the map, or they can fall out of Mossy Lure module lured Pokestops. These apples have the potential to either give a sweet apple, a tart apple, or start an encounter with a Pokemon from a seemingly quite large pool. However, it is distinct in that it was the only way to encounter the apple Pokemon Applin. Additionally, during the Year 9 anniversary event, party hats would also appear on the map, which would lead to encounters with certain Pokemon in party hat costumes. At some point, trainer characters gain new idle animations on the map, such as stretching. Maybe someday they'll be able to sit down. Halfway through Year 9, Niantic sold their games division to Scopely, and the transition took less than 2 months. I really don't know if anything changed. Go Pass became a new sort of timed research monthly. It's basically a battle pass, and I love ignoring it because it doesn't add to my list of completed special research. It started with Go Tour Unova and came back in April and May in some regions for testing, and June globally. Sometimes you can earn special prizes from the premium version of the Go Passes, but I generally don't care much about them. A lucky trinket can be used to ensure that your next trade with someone will be lucky, and result in a lucky Pokemon. A more interesting prize is a bottle cap. You can use that on a Pokemon in order to begin a set of tasks that each increase one of that Pokemon's IV stats until it's perfect, or whatever stat increase you specify as your goal. You have 1 year to complete the tasks before they expire. Out of curiosity, I gave a bottle cap to my strongest shiny Necrozma, and I'm working on those tasks now. I noticed recently that every nose pass seems to point north on the map. And even if you click on them and they look at you, you wait enough time and they eventually turn back north. I think this is awesome, although I'm not sure how long they've behaved this way. I managed to make another Pokestop. On a whim, I decided that I want to catch every shiny legendary Pokemon available in raids. Since making that decision, I shiny hunted a lot of Pokemon in Go. Prior to this year, I had shiny Lugia, Zapdos, Ho-Oh, Kyogre, Cresselia, Raikou, Groudon, Rayquaza, Suicune, Mewtwo, Giratina in its altered form, Latias, Moltres, Azelf, Zekrom, and Latios. Then this year, I got both shiny Necrozma forms, except for its base form, I guess. And when I put my mind to it, I ended up hunting and getting Tapu Koko, Heatran, Tapu Lele, Blacephalon, Stakataka, Tapu Fini, Uxie, Mesprit, Regigigas, Regirock, Tapu Bulu, Regice, Regidrago, Regieleki, Registeel, both forms of Zamazenta and Zacian, and also Cobalion. That reminds me, in one of the events, there was research that rewarded encounters with members of the Regi family. Sometimes they would be level 1. I can always appreciate a reference to Pokemon Platinum. I didn't get all of them at level 1, but one of my shiny Regice is level 1, so that's good. Hopefully, Year 10 me will not raid a ton of Solgaleo while not remembering that they're shiny locked, but I guess we don't know until it happens. I'll see you all again in a year, when the first decade of Pokemon Go concludes. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and follow us on Blue Sky if you have one. Also, we've started a Discord called Team Rainbow Unknown. Feel free to join us if you want to. Thanks again. Zelgarath out.